Right, here we are.
Yeah,
gentlemen. We've created a buzz, and here we are to see if we can live up to the hype. We even had a comment before the show started from Heidi saying she was excited for this one.
Okay,
Heidi's in a permanent state of arousal. That's why.
Oh, well. And maybe me and her have got more in common than we realised.
So what have you got, Max Cherry or just normal Max? What's that? What we got going on?
Just normal Max.
Normal, good. All right.
It's actually a bit late for that, but you know.
Yeah. I've never actually looked at how much caffeine is actually in a can of like generic cola beverage.
Yeah, so let me enlighten you, because I used to just nail on an evening. I'd just like nail 2 of them because I'm like, yeah, this shit's so good. 0 calories. It's amazing. And there's like 35 milligrams of caffeine in each one, which it like depends on the person, obviously. But in the grand scheme of things, that's quite a lot for me. Like before bed, just slamming in 70 milligrams of caffeine. But it didn't affect my sleep until I became aware of it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So, Jay, before I mediate and start, because I've got a very structured and professional way in which I'm going to conduct this debate, I believe you wanted to share some thoughts that you had on a well-known and well-loved British television show. Is it British? I know they do it in America, but surely we invented it.
I think we invented it, yeah.
No, because there's a series on this on Netflix. They called it The American Gladiators.
Oh, so it must have been ours then.
Well, no, when can the Yanks ever do anything without everyone else letting them know it's American, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So because of that, they called it American Gladiators. And because they called it the American Gladiators, we got to call it the Gladiators. So even though ours came after. Awooga. That's a heart back to John Fashanu, the presenter of Gladiators from 1992 to 1995.
God, he has done his research. You might be in trouble here, Harry.
No, I watched it when it was on. So I went to watch a live video. So anyway, but Gladiators. So I'm not against the Gladiators as such. It's the Travelator at the end. It's literally just the Travelator. The whole time I'm watching the entire programs, to start to finish, I'm guessing how good they're going to be on the Travelator, and they always disappoint. I yet to see one person do it well, properly. Although Millie gave it a good chance the other day, didn't she? She gave it a good try.
Well, since we're on the debate show, I think I need to push back on that immediately. And a great call out for Millie doing well as well, because she is the Defiant Coast social media girl. Not at the moment, though. You might have seen I am an influencer at the moment. Have you seen me in action? I'm doing bits. But anyway, one thing I will say is you're saying that you always expect people to do better on the Travelator without any knowledge of what that's actually like. You can just... it's like watching someone on Echo Bike at Sadia. You're trying to gauge how fast they're pedaling to see what RPM they're doing. There's just no chance. So how do you know that people are shit at it when you don't know how hard it is?
I know I could do it straight away. I know for a fact I could do it straight away. So that's all. I'm really disappointed. It's like the last bit. You think they're going to give it Billy Guns, and then they don't. But anyway, Cyclone's my favourite, by the way. She's just an absolute weapon. But anyway, that's enough about Gladiators.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we'll circle back to it, because I have some opinions on it. But we'll circle back at the end when we're ready for that.
No, mate, go. Let's have some Harry Keane pills of wisdom on Gladiators.
Basically, we talk about Gladiators in the gym because there's one of the Gladiators is actually a member of my gym. Yeah. Maybe she's not at the minute, but she's like a Worcester fitness person. Anyway, she's ruptured her ACL and she's going for a reconstruction for that. And I know a few of the guys that are the Gladiators as well. And Harry Lightfoot maybe had an offer for it or something like that. We're basically just talking about if Gladiators are approaching you, they probably think you're spent in terms of whatever you're doing. So time to cash in on your influence. So that's the first thing. But what I was talking to people about, because of the injuries and stuff, I was like, do these guys actually train for Gladiator, or do they just kind of go and fuck around on the kit a little bit and then they will just go back to the gym and do bodybuilding and whatever that is? And I'm like, there's no wonder they're getting injured.
Well, from last year, There was Athena, there was Diamond, there was Legend, there was Giant, and the sprinter guy with the hood. What's his name? Is it Phantom? I can't remember his name.
Harry Akins, yeah.
5 of them got injuries. 5 of them were injured in the same year, and Shirley got injured as well, didn't she? I think she hurt her hip or something. Like that.
She I think she had some hamstring thing. And basically, my point is if you're a professional rugby player, and they play quite frequently as well, are you just going to go to the gym and then just turn up and have a smash about for 80 minutes, like at the weekend or like once a month or whatever? It's like, if you do that, you're just going to get destroyed.
Do you think they've got a coach?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a whole team.
They maybe need a specialist.
Yeah, that was the thing that triggered me. I was like, these guys, they're all getting injured. They definitely they're meant to be athletes, right? They're paid. They're like entertainers, but they're also paid. Like their body is their means to their income.
But
and I'm just
like Emily and Zach haven't been injured, have they?
I feel like Zach's in a constant state of injury.
Perpetual state of pain.
Not
nothing snapped.
Gladiators. No.
Nothing snapped. Yeah.
No.
So I need to bring this comment back up. All Britons are condescending. That's really rude, and actually, it's all Brits. So get it right. Come on, give me that one. And does Jake come across as condescending to other people with a British accent? No, he's just condescending in a bit of a twat, I think. It's probably fair, isn't it?
That's pretty standard. That's pretty straightforward.
Right.
As for Kundo, would say, I hate myself, so it's fine.
Yeah, me and Yanni were saying that the other day, weren't we, funnily enough? Right, before we get into this, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm first going to ask you both to state your credentials so that we can decide beforehand who we're going to lean towards. Then I'm going to play the clip that created the debate so that everyone can see it for context. And then I'm going to get a base.
Thought about this, haven't you?
Mate, I have. When they're a bit of a buzz about it, I thought I'm going to do some bits. And then, mate, I've got a quick 6 questions that I'm going to ask you both to establish a baseline, see if you disagree on any other things. And then we're going to get into the debate.
Okay, good. I like that.
So,
I like
Jake.
It's good.
Yeah, Jake, can you state your credentials for the viewers?
I mean, what credentials are we talking about?
Whatever you think.
I've got 3 kids, been married 10 years, live on the Isle of Man. I got my CrossFit. I started CrossFit in 2011. I've been coaching since 2012. I'm doing my level 3 this year because and don't tell anyone. It's because it's cheaper than doing the level 2 again. But it's one reason. But also, I do want to further my coaching development. But I've had my level 2 since 2014? I think I did it. I am a gym coach. I've steered clear of going down the elite athlete path. One, because I was never an elite athlete, and I don't think I can fully gauge the necessary mindset to be an elite athlete in CrossFit, because I've never been one in functional fitness. So I never felt like it would be part of my repertoire. I probably shouldn't have had that attitude, but I enjoy coaching new people at CrossFit. I enjoy the induction process. I enjoy being at the affiliate. I enjoy teaching people their first pull-up, the refinery and the speciality bits that I can get people their 10th muscle up rather than being stuck at 9. I know all the positional bits and pieces. It just doesn't excite me as much as being on the gym floor and coaching a class. And I know that makes me really dull and vanilla and boring, but that's basically my credentials. I've competed at weightlifting and powerlifting. I'm the head coach of Isle of Man weightlifting. I will be going to the Commonwealth Games coaching this year. And yeah, I'm getting older and I'm getting stronger. So that's me, and I love CrossFit.
Yeah, because I started following you. I started following you after our last after we met last week, and I was like, okay, this guy can shift a bit of tin. You know, like you're putting some good lifts up. I was liking it.
For my age, yeah. What the one I didn't put up the other day, I did after my bench session. When I was stripping down the bar, I got to the 60 was on it, and I thought, oh, see max reps, and I did 50 reps at 60, and I was annoyed. But I was really annoyed that I didn't get 60, because 60 at 60 sounds a lot better. So next week, fresh, I'm going to get 60 at 60. That's the only reason I didn't post the video. And it's a minute and a half long. So fuck
it. Yeah. Were you resting on your chest?
No, I did 30, like really for like press up speed, like really quick.
Just be banging them out, and
yeah, 30 to 40 slowed down. And then I did 40 to 44, rested at the at lockout. Did another 4, rested a lockout, and then did a 2 and finished on that. But that was enough for that day. But yeah,
right.
That's absolutely outrageous, and a good 2 minutes worth of credentials for someone that said they didn't have any. Quite impressed.
They're not really credentials, though, are they?
It is. It's all experience, worldliness.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, over to you, Mr. Keane.
Yeah, so I am owner director of AOD Fitness, which is like an online coaching platform for CrossFit functional fitness athletes, kind of however you want to put it. I own owner director also of a CrossFit affiliate, CrossFit Blueprint, based in Worcester. In terms of, I guess, credentials on paper, like I always feel like you learn more when you actually kind of do stuff outside of the structure of credentials. But I have credentials in CrossFit, powerlifting, strength conditioning. But like I said, like I probably have always learned a lot more outside of that, those things just being courses that you pay to do or do the coursework for them or whatever. So I've got a little bit there, but I don't really kind of tie loads of weight on that. I'm also a competitor within the sport of CrossFit. I've been to the CrossFit Games twice on a team, competed at various different kind of international competitions as well on teams and individually. And in terms of my journey with CrossFit, I was probably introduced to it because my business partners, Mike and Ads, they started CrossFit when I met them, when we were studying at Loughborough. And I was kind of a bit like, not totally sure on this because I was playing rugby, and then I slowly just like dipped my toes and just got taken to the dark side completely. Initially, my perception of CrossFit was that Mike's doing it, I play rugby, I'm going to be better than him at this and show him how shit CrossFitters really are. And then it just turned out that I just loved it because I was obviously doing all the S&C and training and stuff while I was playing rugby, and then I got into Olympic weightlifting a little bit just via exposure. Like being at Loughborough, there's obviously the weightlifting team and there's just lots of people doing it. And I just thought it looked like fun. And then we tried to qualify for a competition as a 3 and we got absolutely slapped. And I realized how bad I really was and how unfit I was as well. So that's kind of what started it. And I think the thing that I love about CrossFit is the variety. And Jake, you're talking about like still getting stronger at this point in your life. And I think it's the potential longevity for it because of the such a great variety. It's like, I'm going to be able to keep developing myself and enjoying this for a very long time, because as soon as things really start to slow down, you probably kind of lose interest a little bit and you might want to kind of pivot and do something else. So yeah, that's me in short, really.
Cool.
Very good. Right.
And by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, like Loughborough is like the fucking sports university in the UK.
Yeah.
If anyone didn't know that. Yeah.
The best university in the world, actually, but I think I might be a little bit biased.
Yeah.
Another difficult thing to measure, I guess, but it's obviously produce you, mate. So in terms of the debate, before I play the clip, because I think once we've played the clip, we'll want to get straight into it. So I'm going to set a baseline here. I've got 6 questions, and I'm going to see if you disagree or agree. And they're just one-word answers. So Froning or Frazier?
Froning.
Froning.
Nanos or Metcons?
Nanos.
Nanos.
Well, can I hang on?
Got to say first.
There's no caveat for me. The Nano stopped existing in my eyes around the Nano X, but the Nano 10. But that's
yeah. Either way, Nano.
Right.
Yeah.
Squat or power?
Squat.
My favorite lift's a back squat, so I can't completely outlaw the word squat, but I know what you're getting at.
I'd like to see a power back squat.
I love a power. No, but like I know what you mean. But if I say power, it means that I'm outlawing all squats.
Are you a squatty guy, or are you gripping and ripping? You know.
I'll have to go squat then, won't I?
I think
as a weightlifting coach, I think you do.
Yeah, I know.
Right, just 3 more. Hopefully these won't stifle you too much, Jake. AMRAP or for time?
For time.
AMRAP.
Assault bike or echo bike?
Assault bike.
Oh, we got one. And then, would you rather wrap up or go bareback?
Bareback. You've got a shitload of kids. Yeah, you got shitloads of kids. So I don't know what you're.
I've got credentials for this answer. Yeah.
I ran about thumb tape, but
we had 2, by the way. I've never worn thumb tape, by the way, ever. I've never bothered.
I can't train without it.
No. You're an athlete though. I'm not. What? Assault bike was one, and AMRAP and for time was another. By the way, there was 2.
So we agree on most things. So we'll not get into the debates on those because I don't think we'll even get to the main debate if we do. So here we go. Here's a context setter around. Like sort of take someone on a complete journey as opposed to you need to see such and such for gymnastics, such and such for Olympic lifting, or do you do it like more general? Do you want well-rounded coaches?
I think so. Talking about the specialists, like I think that CrossFitters are even the best in the world. They're so bad at everything, right? That's like a really pessimistic way to put it, but they're so bad at everything relative to like how good people are at those things that the specialist coaching, like I think that a CrossFit coach should be able to do it all, and it's the coach's job to basically so a coach working with a specialist in order to develop their knowledge and upskill them is something that I think is really important. Athletes working with specialists, you need a new coach, because if you're of that level that you need a specialist, like your coach ain't doing it for you, you know? So so like the outsourcing and the specialists, like they are so important, but also half the time I just think it's coaches, they're just being fucking lazy and they're not developing themselves enough to meet the demands of whoever it is they're working with. So like if you've got like a games athlete and the coach is like, oh, I found so-and-so, they can do all your weightlifting stuff, and they've got this other person, they're going to do all your physiological testing and write your endurance work, and then I'll just kind of fill in the gaps. It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing then?
So there we go. There's our context there. Oh, we mixed around.
The only thing I don't like about that clip is the amount of times that I say because of how tired I am.
That's what you said to me after.
I could have said all those things in about 5 minutes. Or a lot
before we dive into it, is there anything looking back at that, Harry, that do you think that's an accurate reflection on your thoughts and your feelings on the matter? Is that like a representation looking back?
Yeah, I could definitely just elaborate on my points a bit more. I think I was just trying to get it across in short. and also struggling to get my words out entirely, to be honest. But yeah.
And obviously, Jake, as soon as you heard that, you were straight away like challenging it. So what are your immediate challenges to that?
See, what I said was in my comment was, "Ooh, I don't know if I agree with all of this." There are elements and sentiments within that like paragraph, let's call it, that I do tend to lean towards and agree with. The opening part. If you're a coach and you're not furthering your development, then you're a shit coach. Totally agree. The reason I'm doing my L3, the reason not just because of the cost, but like the reason that the whole fucking reason that me and John started Outside the Box podcast was to speak to specialists and people outside of CrossFit so that we could gain an understanding of what the specialist sports are doing, like British indoor rowing or like weightlifting or all the things that influence CrossFit gyms. We wanted to have discussions with them. Now, the other caveat to this is that I'm not an elite coach. Like I'm not a coach of an elite athlete. So bear that in mind as well when I'm talking about this. Now, my question is, do you think that games coaches can get better, or should they be the epitome of coaching in CrossFit? Should they be the highest regarded coaches in CrossFit?
Yeah, I'll just say, just before I get started, I did actually, Steve sent me across you when you were online the other day, and he came on to defend my honor per se, and I actually thought a lot of your points are very good. Like I could easily counterpoint them all, but I thought they were very good points to make in terms of a discussion. But so yeah, CrossFit Games coaches, should they be the pinnacle of coaching, all encompassing everything? Yeah, I believe that they should. And my kind of main point here, and I put it kind of a bit bluntly in my previous clip, is that within all of these different kind of characteristics and skills and modalities and whatever, how you want to break it down, relative to the actual specialists, like the people that actually do the sports, the level of performance of CrossFit athletes really is not that high. So my point, leading with that is that Kipchoge's running coach, because I don't know if you've seen it, like his there's this documentary, Breaking 2. They get a camp of athletes. They're all going to try and get them to break the 2-hour kind of mark on the marathon. And they're scratching their heads with what to do with him, because every kind of variable they could control, every kind of different tactic they could deploy, they're like, we are already doing this to the absolute T. The other guys did have some more stuff, but basically CrossFitters are so far off the like necessity for that involvement that I don't think like fully outsourcing and leaning into specialists is completely necessary. Now, like you say, you need the specialists. They need to exist, and you need to like interact with them and things like that. But I think that the needs of CrossFit athletes really isn't that deep or complex.
Right. Okay. I'm with you now. Okay. So yeah, I've written down like the fact that you open with CrossFit as a shit compared to specialists, like in the other show that you said. So you said they were shit compared to specialists, which I compared to the elite, I tend to agree, because they can't be by default and by design. They shouldn't be specialists. We're the best generalists that ever, across. But then, see, the impression that I got was that you were saying that the coaches, however, did need to be very, very good across all those specialities, whereas the athletes didn't need to be.
So that does still stand to a point, because it depends on the needs of the athlete. Now, the higher level the athlete is going to get, the more of a kind of specialist insight they're going to need, right? Because you take a total beginner, you could literally chuck anything at them, and the stimulus is going to be like reasonable in order to achieve a response, and they adapt and they get better. And obviously, as CrossFit athletes get better, they obviously have to work on so many things. There's so much training they need to manage in terms of their energy and things like that. It's like you need coaches that are going to have the most efficacious methods that they can deploy in order to improve their athletes in that sense. So the top level CrossFit coaches will have closer to the specialist level of knowledge, but I'm not expecting them to have the specialist level of knowledge because they're like CrossFit specialists. Whereas someone that's poured 10, 20, 30 years, whatever, into a specific sport, their experience and everything they've done is obviously going to really weigh into that. And I think the biggest issue I see with people that are like, I want to get better at this thing, I'm going to chuck this program or get this program or like training off a person because they're a specialist in it, because the context is so skewed, the results will also not be good. So, for example, you come from powerlifting, weightlifting, whatever works really well for a good powerlifter of a similar level to a CrossFitter, that is not going to work well for the CrossFitter. Or it will work for them because the program works, but they're going to have to sacrifice a lot in terms of their energy allocation and other areas of performance within their sport in order to get the results they want. So everything that I do, and obviously across the AOD that we try to implement, is like, what are the best ways of getting around things so that we can provide the best possible stimulus to the athlete without sacrificing their performance in other ways, right? So a really good example of this is I'm massive on this. Like I went to Westside over the summer. I went to Ohio. Awesome. And I understand that Westside's obviously got this huge lineage and they did a lot for the sport of powerlifting. But I also understand that if I was coaching a powerlifter, that's probably not the thing I'm going to do. Like I can contextualize how that might not be like Westside by the book or whatever, a derivative of like the conjugate method. It might not actually be the best thing to do. Whereas when I then fit it into the context of CrossFit, I'm like, I think this is now the best way to get people stronger and ready for this sport, right? So that's kind of my point, is when we lean too heavily on specialists, the context is wrong and we might get the same result, but for more work and at what cost, you know?
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that elite coaches would be influenced by specialists? So your example there, I know this hasn't happened, but if you were to have gone to Louis when he was alive, and do you think you'd have been easily sold on the value of a low bar squat? And do you then think you'd have used that with CrossFit athletes to develop their back squat and more of a posterior? Do you think influence from those specialists is a good thing overall? Because there's so many different specialists. Like you think about CrossFit.
Yeah. I think it's good. It's good and bad in the sense that there's some things that I've seen and learned from what Louis Simmons was saying that I'm like, I'm chucking this out. I'm not going to use it. And there's other stuff that I'm like, I see very, very valuable application of this. And that's where, as a high level coach, it's your responsibility to carve your own path, because CrossFit coaches are CrossFit specialists, but the sport is still very much in its infancy in terms of training methods and things like that. So it's why it's such a sweet sport to be involved in, because you are just trying and adapting methods to find out what's going to be the best. Equally, I think that specialists can sometimes offer coaches this easy option in the sense that they're like, oh yeah, like I'll get your athletes 5K. I'll take a minute off that, easy. Just do exactly what I say. They're like, yeah, cool. Do the work for me. I'm not going to develop understanding for it. And then they do take a minute off their 5K, but then it's like, what's that done to your recovery, your stress, your other areas that you need to be working on as well, you know?
What do you think's been the biggest change in the coach-athlete relationship in the last 10 years? Because obviously you look at the performance now of the average, say Kringle would have probably won up until 2016, 2017. Should have been a clear outright winner of the CrossFit Games 10 years ago, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree with that.
So, like, what has changed between coaching and athlete in that 10 years?
I think probably just the sophistication of like training methods, because 10 years ago, like there's a reason that people would pass through regionals, they'd get to the CrossFit Games, and then there'd be a longer endurance event, and all the top guys would be stumped and they'd really suffer on it. And then the ones that are just more inclined to those endurance type events, or they've got a background in it, they then come through. So it's not to an end of their training, it's like previous exposures. And I think it's the fact that people have treated it more like strength conditioning. But my opinion also of this is that CrossFit is a sport, so you need to treat it like it's strength conditioning for a sport. The whole thing shouldn't just like merge into one big mess, although it looks similar. But I think that's the biggest difference, is the savviness around like recovery, eating, like periodizing training, recovery, like methods.
Right.
It's just catching up with other elite sports, because like,
where do you think that information come from?
From specialists in their fields. So the coaches, it's like there will be athletes that are leaning on those people, but I'd say that the implementation from a training like strategy standpoint is going to be from the coaches, or if they're self-coached athletes, they're then working with the specialist. And I would now say that we're at a point that it's like, because back then when they first started using the specialist, it would have just been plug and play. It would have been like, write my strength cycle, write my running program, like whatever it is. They get the result, but at what cost? Now we're developing the sport and the methods past that point, that it's like, these are the most efficacious ways to do things, rather than just having that specialist plug it in for you. Because I know that on your podcast, you mentioned Chris Hinshaw as well, right? And he built this big monopoly on the endurance guy in CrossFit. Knowing what I used to think he was amazing, knowing what I know now, and with my level of coaching experience and just how I've developed myself, I think he just chats loads of shit, to be honest. Like, I don't love it one bit.
No. Yeah. Lactic threshold.
Can I ask you something, Harry, on what you just said, mate? So, you know, when we look at CrossFit, and obviously it is a sport in its infancy, and we want the sport to grow, because if the sport grows, everyone does better, like we say on numerous occasions. Like, you know, AOD as an organization, obviously, you're developing this knowledge and these skills and doing it in a very technical way, and the way you speak, and especially Mike as well, and I know Ads, like, it seems slightly different to how I hear others that have like training programs and sort of that sort of stuff. Is it like, how do you sort of, I don't know, you want the sport to grow, you want everyone to get better, you want coaches to be more knowledgeable, but when you're maybe one of the sort of leaders in gathering that knowledge and being able to then implement it, is it difficult to kind of, because you kind of want to share it and make everyone better, but at the same time you want to keep it so that AOD are the specialists and the best? Is it like, do you see yourselves becoming maybe the coaches of coaches with all the sort of...
The goal for us is to be like, is just to grow in recognition. At the moment, we don't have that many byproducts of our work. We certainly do, and we do have proof of how our methods are effective, but it pales in comparison to other coaching platforms, right? I just sent that to Hinshaw. Very good. It pales in comparison to like other contemporaries. So I just believe in everything we do 100%, and we implement things with a lot of conviction. We might be totally wrong and off the mark, I don't know, but I believe in what we do. And that's kind of it. Now, Jake, this kind of leads back onto something, an opinion I feel that you're of, is that I think it's probably just because, though, I've spent more time around the elite athletes, the coaches. I think people hold them in much too high esteem, in the sense that and I think also people maybe discredit, like talent is a thing. So like these CrossFit athletes that were there before, the talent pool was much smaller. You give them the training methods of today, they're probably doing like just as well, kind of thing. But also I think the coaches, if someone's a good CrossFit athlete, you can't just assume their coach is good. You know, like you have to get into it. And like I said, the more that I learn and the more opinions I develop and the more like I just do of this, I look at the space and I'm like, I think that person's a good coach. I like what they're saying. I like how they carry themselves. They do the thing. And I look at other people and I'm just like, they're just riding by the seat of their pants right now. And it won't last forever. Kind of like Ben Bergeron. He used to be a golden boy and he was just a bit off the mark as well, I think, to be honest.
You know, when you talk about people like Ben, though, do you think that he, at the time, he was sort of at a level that nobody else was at, but then he just got lazy and were like, right, I'm the best, so I don't need to do anything, didn't further his skills, didn't further his knowledge, the sport moved on without him, and now everyone thinks he's a bell end?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos of him with Catherine in their kitchen weren't like, didn't do him any favours.
Well, is that when did he dig a hole and throw mud on her and stuff as well? Was that one of his things?
I heard that he was actually in some of these emails that have just come out in the Epstein files. But to your point exactly is like when I used to read stuff from Ben, like I know Mike used to love Ben Bergeron, right? And that was his base. If you spoke to him about it now, he'd be like this. Yeah, bloke's like washed, isn't he? Like, that's it kind of thing. So at the time, I think he was amazing and he was at the cutting edge and he did talk a lot of sense. But then as the thing evolves, you've got to keep moving. You got to keep moving with it. Otherwise, you become irrelevant.
Yeah. Like if a Blockbuster video opened up down the road now, like you wouldn't go there for a video, would you?
No,
you'd just go on Netflix. So like, they were great at the time. They did a role, served a purpose, but like everything's sort of moved on from that. I get what you mean. I do get what you mean. And Steve, I get what you were kind of getting at. And the one question that I have, right, is that so at AOD, excuse my ignorance, what do you if I was to give you like, and this might not be the case, but if I was to say, right, here's 3 athletes, here you go, here's 3 athletes. And you need to decide who takes who, like which of you 3 guys takes on which athlete. What would it be that differentiates you as coaches for them to go to?
I would say it's more from a kind of like personality standpoint, what you think the blend's going to be. I have confidence to put clients and athletes like with any of the coaching team, to be honest. The thing is that because me, Mike and Ads have been doing this effectively longer and we have 3 kind of contractors that work for us as coaches as well, we're upskilling them, we're developing them, but just by the nature of just time and exposure, they're probably not quite where we are. But then my aspiration is that one day I have a team and it's like I want people to just be a counterpart to me so that it's confidence anywhere. And really then it just comes down to who's going to fit the best of them. Because in terms of like disseminating information across the business, it's like everyone's going to have their own slight biases and style, but we're generally reading off the same hymn sheet in terms of the methods that we use. Because I will develop or say we will develop the resource for the coaches that are built off training principles, the theory of it. It's not a copy paste like job. It's like learn this, understand it, implement it, because that's what we believe is going to be the thing that works best. If something isn't effective, we scrap it. If we don't like it over time, we scrap it. New things come in. You know, it's that's the process really.
Yeah, I do. I like that. And obviously over the years, we've had a couple of attempts at like camps, you know, like with the athlete program and, you know, bits and pieces all throughout the years. Now, I was fortunate enough to watch Will Kane compete quite a few times, because when I got into it, he was like on the verge. He was kept getting like 6th at regionals, and he was like I remember him at the headband and all that kind of thing.
In his black and white photo on Instagram. After.
He I used to say to him that I was like, you are on the Mount Rushmore of CrossFit. And then as the years have gone on, I'm like, maybe they're chiseling some new faces.
At the time, obviously he's at your gym now, isn't he? He's with you. at Blueprint.
Will's one of my partners in the gym, so relatively like close with Will. I've obviously seen a lot of his training and trained with him over the years.
But my hope for someone like AOD and Blueprint is that we eventually have a British HWPO mayhem proven. Like at no point have we had that like hub really where we've had like athletes coming together and training. With the Brits have seemed to have, like, even now you've got obviously Harry and Kringle with at your gym, but then you've got like McGonagall over there, Muir over there, Campbell over there. Like everyone's sort of spaced out and doing their own thing. It would be really fucking cool if at some point over the next decade, sooner hopefully, but it would be really cool. JST, there's another one. It would be really cool to have like a hub where we know that is where the best Brits come from for CrossFit. And so this legacy effect comes through, and it's just this household name that we have. That was just a bit of a tangent, because I feel like everything that you're saying lends itself to a real high caliber of excellence towards the games, well, the elite athletes. So what my question was is, because obviously you're with your Blueprints, your gym. So I've asked this question to quite a few people. I've asked it for Chaffee, asked it to Glassman, like I've asked it to a few people at the top, and they've all had these really one-word answers because they kind of, from their position, they've got this answer. But what do you think is it that the elite of the elite lack? Because they've never gone on to then become the coaches that have like athletes on the podium. You've never had that kind of, like, Fronin's never had a games athlete podium, like as in win the games solo. What is it about an elite level games athlete that you think they might lack in elite coaching at the top end?
It's funny because coaches talk about this, is they are just animals basically, and there will be athletes that are very invested in the process of their training and what they're doing and how it's implemented. If you look at like Brent Fikowski, he could probably do a very good job of coaching someone because he's everything's super, super thought out. But I actually think that having those characteristics is a drawback as an athlete, because an athlete is a machine. You need to put the training into them so it gets the adaptations we want. They need to do the performance. And if there's too much thinking, like there's literally doubt. If they're doing a workout and they're meant to be going as fast as they can, but they're like, oh, I've just passed like my second threshold and this should now be unsustainable. It's like, you don't want any of that shit going on, you know? So from a coach's standpoint, it's like, I want my athletes to be thinking, I want them to be smart, but it's just in terms of them executing things well, so that the inputs, the training is executed as best it can be, and the strategies of workouts is executed the best it can be. Because if I speak about myself as an athlete and a coach, I think that my investment in the coaching space and my thoughts about that, my ideas, I think it's definitely held me back over the years, just because, like, just get your head down and work, you know, is what the athletes need to do. So I don't think the best of the best ever will kind of go on to be the best coaches. So Jose Mourinho, though, right?
You have to be completely selfish as well, don't you? To be elite at any level in sport, you've got to be so selfish that I don't think it's in your nature to care enough about others.
When it's not about you anymore, you're like.
But like I challenged, I asked Daniel, and I asked a few other people, because Daniel's answer, I asked him the negative of that question. I asked him, what do the elite level coaches have that the athletes don't? And they said selflessness. So it was one word. He just banged selfless immediately. He knew it right away. So
that is it.
It hits the nail on the head. But also, you touched on something earlier about the fact that to be an athlete, you've got an innate talent as well. Like, things come a little bit easier to you in respect to things like athleticism, the ability to understand movement, like to work through it, it's things just come that little bit easier. Now, I'm not saying they don't work hard. They are the hardest workers in any room they go to. But it's the ability to replicate movement. You know, like the geniuses like Mozart, they can hear a note and they're pitch perfect. They can play it straight away. They understand it. That talent is able to do that. I think athletes and athleticism is the ability to move after having, like, without many hurdles, be able to replicate movement. Now, if you have grown up, if you're a natural athlete like that, and you've grown up without having to put in that development into learning those movements at the base level, I think it's going to be really hard for you to understand and comprehend that someone can't do that. So those learning points along the way, I think your brain's just wired differently towards movement and understanding and capacity. But then again, I think, well, if you've been an elite athlete and you're coaching elite athletes, they're also in that boat where they can move well and they're talented enough where they don't need to do it. So I'm a little bit confused with that. And like you said, you've been to the games on team, and you're a qualified elite athlete. But the top of the top, like Fraser, like, he's a useless coach. I'm sorry. Like the videos and the stuff that I've seen. But then again, like, he doesn't necessarily claim to be a top end coach. I know Jon said it earlier, like Fronin doesn't claim to be a coach, which is fair enough. But he probably understands that he's not going to be the guy to do that. But Abby's saying that, and Abby's been to the adaptive games last year and she got bronze. So she's a fucking games medalist like last year. So she understands this as well. It's like the mindset of the elite athlete is something unfathomable. Like, to be at that level of performance compared to your like equals in life, you're a different breed. Like you said, you're an animal. It's like Matey Boy that climbed that building last week on Netflix. But I said this the other day, he has got 100% confirmation bias that he's safe. Those guys are safe.
It's because his brain's broken.
Yeah, but they've got 100% confirmation bias, because when it goes wrong, they're dead. And they're not going to be able to say, oh, you got one on me. They're just done. So they've got 100% confirmation bias. And I think the games athletes have that as well, because they are pushing to injury level, you know, that borderline of injury all the time, that threshold. They're pushing those boundaries. But the question asked earlier, I'm interested to hear what you said about that as well. I think I might have frozen. Have I frozen? Am I right?
No.
Okay. Completely fucking forgot what I was saying. Never mind.
Can I just do one before you go? Because before you go into that, because it's on camps. So when we're talking about those camps and things like that, I don't think it's fair to say that those camps made the athletes. And I think the athletes made the camps. So the athletes came first, the camps came second. In most of those, you look at Proven, you look at HWPO, you look at Mayhem. It was all centered around a successful athlete that got their skills independent of that. Maybe with the exception of Shane, you could say at Proven. And then when you look at Brute, did anyone really talk about Brute before the first athlete broke through and then people went to Brute? So when we talk about developing a camp based around elite level athletes, has anyone ever really done that?
Yeah. So we have a camp somewhat, and we've had people that have come to Blueprint and trained under AOD and whatever, and they kind of come and go because they assume that by proxy you'll get some sweet results or something. I don't know, but it's never something we've pushed, because I don't think that having, like, in terms of a location, I don't think it's super healthy having loads of athletes in one place. Like, a lot of those Brute guys were local and they're moving away. JST obviously tried to have their high performance center with all their best athletes. The whole thing kind of blew up, it didn't go amazingly. So that's something that should never be forced. But then in terms of, like you're saying, the broader camp, the people coming in, that's the kind of thing where it's like, for me personally, for where our business is at the minute, like, I'm not super interested in making a huge signing for someone that's got 3 games caps under their belt. because that doesn't really prove anything. All you're being handed is an athlete that could potentially discredit you if they got worse. So what I'm really kind of in the market for at the minute, and why Harry's an amazing example of this, is people that come to us at a very kind of like fundamental level, and then we can develop them with our methods and show that it's a good way to do things. Obviously, the whole setup for grassroots CrossFit is a bit of a mess anyway, and it's nothing I'm involved in at all. But that's why Harry's such a great testament to us, because we didn't fall on our feet with him finding us. He used to do our one-size-fits-all program. He got a bit better. He was like, I want one-to-one coaching to do X, Y, Z. And then it just kind of developed from there. And it's similar with like a lot of the guys that work with us. We kind of just took them in. They had big goals, and we were like, we'll do our best to try and do that. So the big camps, like the bubble burst, right? Like all those guys were HWPO. They were doing things Fraser's way, and they've now all left, and they're just hopping. Who's going to pay them the most, or where are their buddies, or whatever? Like it's a bit fickle, really.
Yeah, but the camps like Mayhem that you see, the athletes tend to stick around there for a while, and I think maybe because Fronin isn't their head coach. Obviously, Facundo's filled that role, and as much as I love Facundo, he's not an elite athlete. But then, like the others, like you look at what happened to Mal when she left Townsend. Like she went to Fraser, and that didn't quite work out. So I agree. Those camps aren't always necessarily a good thing, but having like, I guess what I mean to say is that if you think about all those coaches, Fraser, Fronin heads up Mayhem, whether he's a coach or not. Who else? Proven is obviously Shane and Tia. We haven't really had, obviously, Steve Fawcett's with them now, but we haven't really had.
He's with HWPO, isn't he?
Yeah, we haven't really had a British name like that people know as the British guy that programs elite level athletes yet.
That's what we want, right? But we also don't want to get in people's ears and coerce the best athletes to work with us. Like, for example, maybe I'm divulging this a little bit too publicly, but it's like Tom now works with Brute and he works with Tom Kingdon. And I'm good mates with Tom. Like, we chat a lot, and he's in the market for a new coach, and he's talking to me about it, and everything kind of makes sense for him to probably work with us. And he decided to go with Brute in the end. I think his manager set something up or whatever. I don't know. And I was disappointed because I was like, oh, wow, like this is a guy that's right on the precipice. And I do believe he will qualify for the games within the next few years, if not this year. But at the same time, I'm like, he's a big boy. Like, he can make his own decisions, and that's the one he's chosen. So whatever. So if we could be the top of the pyramid in terms of like UK coaching and athletes, that's absolutely what I want. But I also don't want to coerce people into it. I want to develop them the whole way. So then they're really kind of products of what we do, rather than just kind of jumping in and being like, oh, sweet.
Do you think on that, because obviously I know Tom well as well, and do you think that was I don't know how to word it, because I know he's a good kid and he's got his head screwed on, but do you think that was a big shiny thing, very attractive, brute, as opposed to, even though you guys are doing great things, he knows you too well for it to be almost a novelty? And do you think that maybe played in? Because the obvious answer is to come to you. You're local, you're there, you're going to see him more. And
so, before you answer, Harry,
go on.
Does he move out to Brute to do that, or does he do it remotely from the UK?
Oh no, it's just remote. Yeah, it's just remote coaching, which means that whoever was his coach, he could have had the touch points and the XYZs like all the time. But regardless, like, so the way, I think you're right, Steve. I do think that his people that he aspires to be like are working with Brute. He probably aspires to be like Harry somewhat, but they're also kind of contemporaries at the same time, like being the better athletes in the UK. But he also this is funny. I haven't actually had this conversation with him, but I will bring it up at some point. He kind of framed it as like, he likes to be against the grain, and no one in the UK is working with Brute. Now, Brute are fucking they're all over this shit, you know? And I'm kind of wanting to piss off, but because obviously Willem Fraze and like team training is now not a thing, and they work with Brute. Like Amy's in there, like there's going to be Ella Wilkinson's in there. Like I'm just hearing more and more names that are just kind of going over to this thing. So Brute it's been a very interesting move, like all the stuff that's going on with that, and it doesn't really affect us in the sense that we're just going to keep doing what we were doing anyway. But we'll see. When he told me, I was like, "This, we'll probably just see you in the future, mate." To be honest,
yeah.
Has you know, since Brute moved, obviously, like Frey and Will moved over to Brute, and that means Amy did. Has that changed the dynamic in the gym at all?
Yes and no. Like Will and Fraze aren't really around very much. Amy, I mean, I'm just speaking openly here. I'm not really kind of doing any shithousery. All of her group training is with AOD athletes, and it's AOD programming. So if she wants to group train, which we do twice a week, like the high intensity stuff, the group sessions, if she wants to do that, she has to come to us to do that. Because Brute or whoever she aligns herself with aren't facilitating that for her. Fine. Like same thing with Tom as well. Like previously, not so much anymore because he's now with Brute. We would invite him to train with us all the time. Like it's like, yeah, you come stay at mine. We'll do whatever. So yeah, people do benefit from what we're doing regardless. But then, like I said, I'm not that bothered. Like it's just like people know, right? Like people know that she's training with us, and it's because they want to be involved with us. So whatever. Like it's not a stressful dynamic.
No, you talked about group, and you talked about the affiliate there, and you talked about training at the gym. I know they're different beasts, but first little mini question before the main question. Do you think what the games athletes doing is the same as what affiliate people do, CrossFit? Do you think it's the same thing still?
No.
Okay, cool.
I think the two things are they're completely different goals in the sense that I see the way that I perceive CrossFit is that Glassman created a digestible method. Or it's basically like, what is the most effective way for me to make people fit, right? It's a 1 hour session. We're using high intensity methods, and that is it. Now, I don't believe, given like you're in a vacuum, that is the best possible way for people to improve their health. However, it's a very good way to improve your health within the regular constraints of life, right? And it's digestible in that sense. The CrossFit Games athletes, they're purely training for this performance outcome. So based on whatever their individual biases are, like some of them, their program might kind of resemble affiliate programming, just higher volume. Some of them, not at all, like it's.
Yeah. So the main thing that I was kind of leading to on there, I'm trying to find the picture, but I'm not going to be able to find it. Obviously, you're aware of the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of an obsession about that the last year or so because
it's sick.
it's absolutely amazing, right? But so hang on, share. I just want to build this. Hang on, window. So where is it? Hang on, add stage. There, right. So it was just in colors that I made on ChatGPT. So as per sickness, wellness, fitness continuum at the gym, so at the gym level, when this was devised, the fittest on earth would be right down the end towards fitness. So I think we can agree with that. We go from sickness into wellness into fitness. And the idea was that the fittest were also, therefore, by default, the healthiest. Do you still think that's the case?
Speaking. Yeah, go on. No.
Speaking. What film's that? That's The Mask, isn't it? Metaphorically speaking. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So do you think that still stands? That original sickness, wellness, fitness continuum? Do you still think it stands where the fittest on earth are also the healthiest?
No, not really, because there'll be certain things from a physiological standpoint that they are extremely healthy, but then it's at the cost and detriment of other things. Because if someone was as perfectly balanced in terms of health, they're not going to have niggling pains and injuries. Like if you don't exercise, you're in pain and there's lots of metabolic issues going on. If you exercise to an appropriate amount where you're not kind of pushing the threshold like too far, you're going to probably be in a sweet spot. And if you literally try and get as fucking fit as you can, there's going to be consequences for it. Now, you're much better off being right at the fitness end, but you're gonna there's credit on your joints and stuff, right? And like with the amount of carbohydrates and shit people are consuming now to facilitate their performance, it's like
they might be pre-diabetic. All right, so let's say that is the case. Let's say that the fittest on earth aren't necessarily the healthiest on earth in our gyms, let alone on earth, right? So in our gyms, there's a chance, I'm not, but there's a chance that you could get someone that's nowhere near the performance of a games athlete, but is healthier. At a snapshot, is healthier than a games athlete. Do you think that could be the case?
It depends if the games athlete, how long they've been doing that and how far, because probably, well, yeah, he's just had his heart thing done, right? And it's like, and he's getting into his, so like say you took like a 24-year-old who has got their training age, doesn't mean that they're now kind of deteriorating themselves massively, but they've got a good amount of muscle mass, they're metabolically super healthy, other health markers aren't taking a hit because of particular lifestyle factors that are included with the training. They're probably going to be the fittest, like healthiest person you could find potentially. But then as soon as you keep tapping it, you're gonna.
So what is CrossFit to you?
CrossFit is really more than anything. I think it's like a health, and fitness like methodology. It's like a strength conditioning methodology. And like I say, it's in my opinion, it's the best way for people to be fit and healthy within the context of Western civilization. But I wouldn't say it is the best thing, full stop, you know?
So, all right. So
do you not think it is though? If it's applied in the way it was intended, I feel like every time we have this conversation, the fact that we can't get the sport out of our head as hard as we try, it's almost impossible to remove that from the thought process. So when we look at it, if you did follow the methodology and the diet and the nutrition prescribed by Greg, what is better than that? It's because everyone always wants more, and to want more, you have to do more. And it wasn't created for an elite athlete. It was created for the layman. And if the layman followed it to the letter, they would be optimum.
Which why is, I don't think, exactly. Abby said, how do you define the best? That was what the initial games was about. But the sport, the beast has completely changed. It's Grendel out of Beowulf. Like it's come back. The mother's come back the day after, and she's just mental. Like the sport has changed into something completely different to what the methodology is. And so this leads me back to the question, my original my one of my questions. This is all leading up to: do you think an elite CrossFit sports coach knows CrossFit better, or an elite methodology affiliate coach? Which one of those is applying CrossFit the best?
The person, if we're talking about CrossFit, like as the strength conditioning methodology, health methodology, whatever, it's the person that is in the affiliate. It is literally their job to be applying that better. Now, having said that, I think that the elite coach needs to have these really strong ties with the roots of CrossFit in the first place. But you obviously, it's the same with the context we like talking about earlier. You need to take things in context, right? Because the sport of CrossFit has just turned into like what person can achieve the most work, right? Whereas
Yeah.
the fitness methodology is like who can be the healthiest. I guess that's kind of like the competition there. If everything has to be a competition,
Yeah.
and I would definitely take different stances on this because, and it's funny because the purist CrossFit people, like we have, do you know Davs Dennis? He's on seminar staff. He was, I don't think he is anymore, but I think he was one of the owners of CrossFit Cardiff. Anyway, Kerry, who's on the team with us, it's her other half, right? It's her partner. So when we're at the games, he's having this discussion with me and Mike about like the CrossFit methodology, dietary recommendations versus what he's feeding Harry Lightfoot, because he's just watching Lightfoot just like packing away. It is disgusting, honestly. Like, don't ever go near that guy and food. It's horrendous. But we're having this discussion about carbohydrates and fuel substrate utilization and all of those kind of things. And Dabs is kind of trying to argue to us that CrossFit athletes would perform better should they have higher fat diets and they had better like fat utilization and this, that, and the other. It's obviously a discussion, whatever. Like maybe it'd be a great one to get him on here. It'd be really funny. But it's the CrossFit purists. I feel like some of them do try to kind of merge the thing as if what Greg originally taught us still holds true to make the fittest athletes on earth. And it does just kind of diverge, because if we're talking about high fat diets, like you could make someone amazing at utilizing fat. They could produce so much energy with fat and it will go for so long. But then it's like, as soon as they add a drop of carbs in the equation, they're just better instantly. So what, you know, like it's hard to argue with. It's why no cyclists do it, because no one's taking the risk. If everyone else is using carbs and EPO, like what we're going to do?
I program for an elite cyclist who's a diabetic, type 1 diabetic, born that way. So him having to manage insulin on their diet is fucking mental. There's a whole team of them. They're all diabetic.
Because I actually saw this research into a diabetic cycling team, and they were taking muscle biopsies from them, and because they're using the exogenous insulin, their actual carbohydrate like storage was like 30% higher than like a counterpart who has regular physiology. But obviously it comes with, so kind of sweet, but obviously comes with the trade-off that they literally need to they are their pancreas, but they're consciously thinking. Which is a pretty amazing thing.
That's fun to work with. But no, I guess the point I was getting at was like to be the ultimate CrossFit affiliate coach. I think we talk about furthering our education and going on like the specialty courses we used to have. I don't know if they fucking still do them or not, but like we understand that there's further education and going through and speaking to specialists and bringing them to the gym and doing seminars and that kind of thing. I guess I'm looping back to the beginning because I've got a screaming child downstairs. Is I guess from an affiliate perspective, like my bread and butter, where I earn mine, is I'm at a point where leaning into specialists, bringing them into the gym, lending them to the affiliate members that I work with. And this is the difference here. This is why there's a difference. I work with 150 members walking through the gym every day. I physically cannot go through their their like areas of development, each individual. So I by default refer them to specialist coaches who will work with them to apply it to the gym setting. Whereas as an elite coach, you are the sole person that person relies on, and it is their way of life. It is their living. It's how they earn a living. So you better have upped your game across those. You better have all the answers. And if you don't know those answers, you better get on that gap quick, because that's a big development area for you.
And I actually agree with that as well, in the sense that, because a lot like CrossFit, in terms of your program and the affiliate, CrossFit and the resources and the teaching, it has you covered in that sense. Like if you lean on the foundations there, that is you done, right? That's good. So then when you're bringing the specialists in, for these people, you're actually just looking at more like of a technical execution kind of standpoint, which is like CrossFit is the program. So these specialists are going to help you execute your program better. So whether it's, like you said, a rowing workshop, a weightlifting workshop, the coaches are going, the members are going. I 100% think that's a really good thing, because when they're back into their class setting, they're going to be much more effective at doing CrossFit and getting healthier from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably to wrap my part in this debate up, is that I think that's where the difference lies in the way the I had to flesh it out a little bit in my head as to why that rubbed me up a little bit, because I'm not talking from an elite perspective. Like I've got no experience with CrossFit elite athletes, but whereas I work with elite athletes in specialist sports. So I like when I'm coaching para or bench or powerlifting or weightlifting, there's literally like 3 things that I need to know, or 5 things that I need to know total. And it's fairly easy over time to be specialist and have all the knowledge for that. Young Alfie that's para benching, I don't need him to know the intricacies of like mitochondrial health, or like how rowing technique, or like how to butterfly kip. Like I don't need to teach him all that shit, so it's irrelevant. But a CrossFitter needs to know fucking everything. But yeah, anyway, sorry. There we go.
So after an hour and 11, I think you two agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we need to have some more of these. We need to have some more. Ari and you two can go toe to toe on quite a few things. It's a pleasure to listen to you both.
Echo bike versus assault bike.
Yeah, we'll do that next.
The assault bike thing, for me, it's the sound and the mechanical sound. It's got nothing to do with the performance of the bike. It's just the noise. It's the metal chains and the sound of it. It just feels like part of my body. Whereas the Echo, it just feels like I'm like on a roller coaster that I have to power myself.
You just prefer it because the calories tick up quicker on your assault bike.
Yeah, it's just easier, isn't it? You get on an assault bike that's 6-month-old, and
I broke one of them. I broke one of them once. So I was like, I'm not playing around with these kiddies' toys anymore.
Yeah, no, I just like the sound. That's all, really. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
Right, you're going to deal to your screaming kid, and Ari can deal to that cat that keeps rubbing his leg.
Yeah, honestly.
I can see.
Honestly.
And I'll just go and sit alone.
You should get a cat. You're not a cat person.
Hell, yeah. I'd rather be alone.
That's a good thing then.
It isn't it? Right, on that note, thank you very much for your time, gents. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Snaps.
Cheers, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to Continuum and the Defiant Show.
Mm-hmm.